Manchester United just pulled off one of the strangest transfer twists of the summer. They agreed a deal worth nearly £40 million for a Brazilian midfielder, and then walked away from it completely days before he was set to sign. Days later, they triggered a release clause on a player almost nobody saw coming to Old Trafford. This is the inside story of United's midfield rebuild and why it might be smarter than it looks. If you've been following Manchester United's transfer window, you'll know it's been anything but predictable. One minute the headlines are about a marquee midfield target. The next, the whole plan changes overnight. That's exactly what's happened over the past week at Old Trafford. Two things are now confirmed. One deal has completely collapsed, and one signing has come completely out of left field. Today, we're breaking down all of it: what's official, what's still developing, and what it tells us about the direction Michael Carrick is taking this squad. Let's start with the deal that's already done. Andrey Santos has completed his move to Manchester United from Chelsea. The 22-year-old Brazilian midfielder arrived in West London back in 2023 from Vasco da Gama, but his path to regular first-team football was never straightforward. There was a difficult loan spell at Nottingham Forest that didn't work out. But then came the turning point, an outstanding loan season at Strasbourg in League One, where Santos didn't just play well, he ran the show. He captained the side, helped them reach European competition, and was named League One's Young Player of the Month. Only one under-21 midfielder in the entire league produced more goal involvements than him that season. He returned to Chelsea for the 2025 campaign and was part of the squad that lifted the FIFA Club World Cup. But regular starts were always going to be a struggle behind Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, and when Caicedo signed a new deal running all the way to 2033, the writing was on the wall. Santos wanted first-team football. United could offer him a clearer path. The transfer is now official. Manchester United have paid Chelsea a guaranteed £48 million, with a further £2 million in potential add-ons, a package widely reported around £50 million in total. Chelsea have also retained a 10% sell-on clause. Santos has signed a long-term contract at Old Trafford. Speaking after the move was confirmed, Santos described it as a dream move, saying it feels special to join a club some of his biggest idols have played for, and that he's excited to learn under Michael Carrick as he pushes his career forward. This move came after United missed out on two other central midfield targets earlier in the window: Elliot Anderson, who joined Manchester City in a deal worth over £100 million, and Matheus Fernandes, who signed for Tottenham. So United pivoted, and pivoted well. Santos gives them a technically gifted, athletic, ball-progressing midfielder still just 22, with Premier League experience already under his belt. Now here's where things get genuinely dramatic. For weeks, United's other priority target was Atalanta's Derson, a Brazilian box-to-box midfielder, not to be confused with Manchester City's goalkeeper of the same name. A deal had been verbally agreed since early June, with the fee reported in the £35–38 million range. It looked close to being finalised, right up until his medical. Then it fell apart. Derson underwent an initial check while on World Cup duty with Brazil, and after their tournament exit, United requested a second, more thorough examination. That process reportedly raised concerns over his recent injury history and fitness. Atalanta, for their part, maintained the player is completely fit and were ready to welcome him straight back into the squad. But United, cautious about any lingering fitness question at this stage of the window, informed Atalanta the deal was off. Some reports suggest United could revisit the move later, but as things stand, it's considered collapsed. And that's when United moved fast in a completely different direction. Within days, reports emerged that United were closing in on Aston Villa's Yuri Tielemans, a name that had barely been linked with Old Trafford all summer. According to Fabrizio Romano, United have triggered a release clause in Tielemans' contract, reported at somewhere between £35 and £36 million. Villa, by their own admission, have no desire to sell. They even offered him a new contract recently, but a release clause is a release clause, and once a club is willing to pay it, there's very little a selling club can do. The timing isn't a coincidence either. Talks accelerated sharply after Belgium's World Cup quarter-final exit to Spain, in which Tielemans, Belgium's captain, was a late injury withdrawal. With the tournament over and his future suddenly open for discussion, United moved quickly to get a deal across the line. To be clear on what's confirmed versus what's still developing, the Santos transfer is completed and official. The Derson collapse is confirmed by multiple outlets. The Tielemans release clause has been triggered according to Romano and Sky Sports, but as of now the move is still being finalised. Contract terms and medical are the final steps, not yet an announced deal. Tactical analysis. So why does this all make sense? United are in the middle of a genuine midfield rebuild. Casemiro has departed. Man Utd is dealing with a serious knee injury sustained at the World Cup with Uruguay, effectively ruling him out of the picture for now. Utd and Casemiro were United's two most defensively focused midfielders, which means Carrick has been left needing more control, more progression, and more leadership through the middle of the park, fast. Santos offers energy, technical quality, and the profile of a modern box-to-box 8 who can also operate deeper. Tielemans, if the move completes, brings something different entirely: composure, game management, and genuine leadership. He's Belgium's captain. He's won an FA Cup with Leicester, scored the winner in a Europa League final for Aston Villa last season, and consistently performs at the top level regardless of role, whether sitting deep or pushing higher up the pitch. Neither is a long-term tenure midfield general the way Santos, at 22, might eventually become. Tielemans is 29, but United appear to be building a mixed midfield young talent alongside experienced, Premier League-ready operators who need no adaptation period. It's a noticeably different recruitment approach from previous windows, prioritising players who already understand English football's physical demands. The numbers back up the profile shift. During his Strasbourg loan, Santos recorded 11 goals and 16 direct goal contributions, remarkable output for a midfielder his age, including several set-piece and penalty box strikes. His passing under pressure in deeper midfield roles stood out as one of the best in League One for his age group. Tielemans' numbers are just as compelling. Across his time at Villa, he made 134 appearances and scored 10 goals, including the opener in last season's Europa League final win. He ranks among the Premier League's most productive ball progressors and has consistently posted strong tackle success numbers alongside his passing output, a rare blend of defensive discipline and creative range for a central midfielder in his position. Together, these two profiles suggest United aren't just replacing bodies, they're specifically targeting ball progression and control, addressing a weakness that was repeatedly exposed last season against teams sitting in a deep, compact block. Expert Opinionski sports transfer reporter Damesh Sheth has been central to breaking the Tielemans story, describing United's midfield business as accelerating rapidly once Belgium's World Cup run ended, and noting Villa's reluctance to sell despite the release clause being met. Fabrizio Romano confirmed the clause had been triggered through his own channels, while other reporting from The Athletic suggested Tielemans himself favours a move to Old Trafford despite interest from elsewhere. On the Dursun situation, reporting has been consistent across outlets that it was United's own request for additional medical tests, not any issue flagged by Atalanta, that ultimately ended the pursuit. A detail worth noting given how unusual it is for a fully agreed deal to collapse at this stage. Future possibility is this might not be the end of United's midfield business either. There's continued reporting linking United with Bournemouth's Alex Scott and Brighton's Carlos Baleba, though both would likely require significant fees. Given the scale of United's midfield rebuild, losing Casemiro, losing Utd to injury, and needing genuine competition for place as a third arrival wouldn't be a surprise if the right opportunity presents itself. There's also a broader story developing around fullback reinforcements, with names like Barcelona's Alejandro Balde and Newcastle's Lewis Hall reportedly on United's radar, though those remain far less advanced. For now though, the story is midfield. If Tielemans' move is completed as expected, United will have added over £80 million worth of central midfield talent for a fraction of what a single marquee target like Matheus Fernandes would have cost without sacrificing quality. On paper, this looks like smart business born out of necessity. The Dursun collapse could have been a disaster for United's transfer window. Instead, it forced a pivot that may end up serving the squad better in the short term. Santos brings youth, upside, and immediate depth. Tielemans, if confirmed, brings a ready-made Premier League winner with leadership qualities United have lacked in midfield since Casemiro's influence faded. It's not a flashy, headline-grabbing rebuild, but it's a coherent one, and for a club that's made expensive, ill-fitting signings in recent years, coherence might be exactly what's needed. Call to action, let us know in the comments, do you think Tielemans is the right fit for Carrick's midfield, or should United have held out for a different profile? Subscribe for the latest as this transfer window develops, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the moment this deal is officially confirmed.